And week 129 is upon us. Yeah, despite the game's best efforts, it's not slowing me down. At this point, it's out of spite that the Challenge Series continues on its due course. 2 days from the time of recording this, there will be a maintenance and update. And there's a possibility that that fixes this game's suspension for road-going cars. Race cars are fine. It's just road cars, especially older ones, act really weird. And not as fun to drive in a lot of cases. But regardless of that fact, we begin week 129 with the Barcelona circuit with the 640 class. For those not in the know, which is everybody, because as mentioned, that was a bug on my footstool. Get out of here. Don't even know what it was. I just smashed it and pushed it away. We, at the Challenge Series, us 5 admins, for one, we're working on adding 6th and 7th ones, but there's been no real progress so far. Nobody has expressed any direct interest in that. But we're also working on some kind of replacement for the Special Conditions division. If the state is improved with those 2 circuits, and we can kind of get the applicants to return, which most of them really didn't go anywhere. The Special Conditions Cup, or not Cup, well, the Cup will eventually return, but the division can and still will return if things get returned to a playable state, so to speak. Because the physics are also not helping. If you hear a distant voice, that is some guy over here to assess our driveway. But I'll just cover more during the race. There's probably going to be downtime somewhere throughout the week that tangenting can continue. Failed English aside, let's just get into the race. We are away from Catalonia, and there are 2 new vehicles in this race. We are on board with, somewhere in this gaggle of cars, Fenny Golden's DMC DeLorean going all the way down to the inside of the circuit to try and pick up positions. She will get not many. Forcing me onto the grass. I don't think by anybody in particular, I think just understeer. The weird physics of the game in its current state mostly affect older cars, but oddly enough, Fenny's DeLorean was not really affected and handled perfectly fine. I don't know how not. Already into 12th is the Hollywood native, already having passed one of the 2 new cars of the race. Civica adds a 3rd vehicle to her garage. I don't know why she has all these vehicles. I'm just not sure how she's pulled so far ahead of her Art of Speed teammates, who all are still working with the original Group 4 cars they started with. What was going on back here? I think, I don't know. So Tara already had this damage, and Dean Cross already had theirs. So what was the dust up back here? Oh, it's just August getting a bit of sand on their tires. And this is where we had the contact. It was right at turn 1, just a concertina caused actually kind of mostly by Fenny moving into line. And there we see, yeah, she was just understeering. Trying to only race with half the circuit because Silica was still technically there. And as we skip forward to present time, yeah, there was no contact back here. It was just August doing a little bit of off-roading. Admittedly, it is a Celica. There's certainly got to be a temptation there, but there is a time and place for off-road, and this isn't it. Surprisingly, August hasn't thought of bringing that Celica off-road at all. I think there was a bit of, oh yeah. Well, that was just clumsy from Madison Palmer. She went to try and attack Mizoto at the apex and just drove straight into the back of the DeLorean. Didn't do any damage to her, nor did it actually do any to Palmer, but she already had damage from some previous collision the replay cameras did not catch. As does Derek De La Cruz. So those are teammates. It's not clear whether Mizoto is responsible for any of that. He had to be responsible for one collision, but I don't know about both. The other new car in this race is up the road, and it's not really actually new, necessarily. It is, but it isn't. A very long time ago, we may recall, this is a vehicle we've seen before. Barbara originally drove this car, paying homage to Mark Wilde driving it. Now, Mark Wilde is in the series, some 100 weeks worth of action later, driving his own version of the actual car. Basically the only real difference is the number. Which admittedly, the number 516 was not the number on this car when he drove it originally, he was the 7th, but the 7 has long since been occupied by somebody else. Well, no, it's Crystal Cross, but because the Special Conditions Division... Who's going crazy back here? Oh yeah, also Max Stanford is making his road racing debut due to the cancellation of the Special Conditions Cup. Who just slid out? Oh, Francesca overdid it, trying to go around the outside of Stanford at turn 9, and does well to hold control, but is not going to be winning that battle. Oh, speaking of control! And Fenny seems to suspect a bit of foul play, the lights and the horn blaring at that, whatever that was. Oh yeah, Mark just kind of cut her off at the braking point. That's usually a penalty in other racing series. It probably would be here, but I imagine that our non-existent stewarding team isn't going to have anything to do with it. Yeah, that's moving over in the braking zone and forcing Fenny into some grass. We'll get one more view of it from Fenny Golden's perspective. It's a really good exit, but that Corvette does have a lot of power. And that door just closes. She can't brake any harder than she already is. And she is again lucky to come away with no damage. But, yeah, I mean, the horn is telling you everything you need to know. She is incredibly upset with Mark Wilde, and he's had a bit of a history lately. He literally got suspended for a race in the American Tour last week for infringements of dangerous driving beyond what could just be penalized by a sort of self-penalization of you ran into me, I'm gonna run into you, as we usually see here in the Challenge Series. As Mark Wilde gets 2 more places on one straightaway, claiming Fernando Ferranti and fucking Katabatsu's positions. Ferranti's not gonna give it up. Back down the inside. Battle of classic gold and blue cars. Where's Barbara at when you need her? Because she would have her own to present were she on the grid, but surprisingly, she's not. Other urban estate drivers are on the grid, but she is absent from this one, which kind of surprises me in retrospect. I didn't really notice that until I pointed it out, that she is not here. I guess it'd be unrealistic to think she'd show up to every race every week. Mark Wilde was defeated in the battle between himself and Fernando, and now Fenny is going to pick up the pieces. Well, there's a bit of gold on her rims, but she's primarily white and blue. But the car is still equally as old. That's sand, or grass. Didn't really seem to affect her much, though. Heading on to the front straightaway to start the last lap. Fenny with a huge run on another equally old car, actually older. RV Holtz Mach 1 at a dead heat with the DeLorean. Reiko Mishima leading them both down towards turn 1. Later on the brakes is Fenny, plus the inside lane. Gets a piece of Reiko, though, on the way in. Didn't really do much, just kind of pushed her a line out. And now it is a battle for the lead between the 765 and the 720 cars. Also 773 behind them. Lots of 7s. There's also the 777 behind them. And Reiko's gonna turn the DeLorean right around. She did not appreciate what happened at turn 1, even if it was minor. Going forward with the 300ZX driver, exiting turn 3 as usual. Really down on momentum though. A little later on the brakes and just aims straight for her quarter panel. That seems deliberate. She's not even going to retain the lead. Harvey Holt is going to sneak right through. A desperate decision from Mishima to hang on to the lead. It doesn't even pay off. The Mach 1 driver is completely cognizant of his surroundings. And through goes Harvey Holt in the 773. Fenny gets the vehicle continuing. That doesn't make any sense as a sentence, but you get the idea. She's not out. And the horn was blaring in disbelief, as well as obvious frustration. And Holt's got a bit of a cushion now. He's only got half a lap to take the win home after that dramatic outcome. I said Mark Wilde hadn't been making friends lately, but apparently Reiko's not one to be outdone by the Stingray driver. He's in a Padanzi sandwich at the moment, running in P4. Francesca's looking down the inside, but cannot get there. Fenny basically squeezing Max Stanford off the track. You gotta have some nerve to get physical with a Toyota Tundra. That's for sure. But down into the last turn here from Catalunya, Ford Racing's old man, basically. He's not even that old, but he's going to take the victory. I believe his first in the Challenge Series. Probably shouldn't have taken that long, ultimately. Reiko second, Fernando third, and sixth place goes to the very smitten DeLorean driver. She's continuing to blare her horn even over the start-finish line at the driver several hundred meters ahead. I guess if you had to pick a corner to get spun at, about pick one with a massive gravel trap. As most of the corners here at Barcelona possess that, but that is the first race. There wasn't really much downtime here. Fenny spent half the race getting turned around by other cars, and the other half making them eat her dust. But that is it for the Catalunya round. On to the second one. And we are here for the second race of the week, which takes us to Interlagos. Interlagos, excuse me. There is not more than one Interlago involved. It is not plural form of Interlago. Regardless, the 750 class will be racing today, in case we did not see enough of that last week. Ironically, there is no 675 exclusive race this week, but there is one for the 750 class, which we just raced 3 times last week. I don't know. Admittedly, I just don't think that there was... There are 675 cars racing this week, but that's at the end of the week. But as for now, yeah, Interlagos will bring us the action. We are away from the plural form of Interlago. I don't know why I introduced it that way again. And Riley Blanchard is our point of view driver for this one in the ZR1 Corvettes. You already see one of the 2 new drivers in this race. Both pretty remarkable figures in motorsports. The first is the LaFerrari of Enrique Notario, which just sounds like a villain's name, if I ever heard one, but he's not really a villain, he's just kind of cocky. Blanchard is forced nearly off the circuit by Buck Angelos up there, who is actually Notario's teammate. The logo is kind of hard to see, but he is a... No, he isn't. That's somebody else. I am an idiot. That is the other new driver in the race. Yeah, Notario is actually... he's about on the level of Juan Santo, but he went a different direction with his career. He is started in the NASCAR Mexico Series, won that championship, moved on to F3, won that championship, joined the Ferrari Driver Academy as he went into Formula 2, won that championship, but he is now bottlenecked at the Formula 1 level due to Ferrari already having enough drivers. My dog is having a fucking meltdown, as per usual, because we dared to have nobody else upstairs. Okay, now that the rampant ball of fur that lives upstairs has finally ceased his obnoxious noises, the recording can fucking continue. La-di-da. And, yeah, he is bottlenecked on the F1 ladder because Ferrari already has all of the drivers and slots of their teams filled because they already had 2 guys coming in from F2 the years before. And the other one is just ahead of him, Rebecca Johnson, who already has damage to her Viper. And her headlights are apparently bugging out. That's not how those are supposed to look. Unless somehow her headlights got damaged in the front-end collision. Which I guess is possible. It would be possible in real life. I don't think it's possible in GT7, though. Rebecca Johnson is actually Demon Sports news. And, like, for the moment, last new driver. As they have reached the limit of drivers on a team of 10. What did Logan tell me? I think it's former IMSA driver, former Penske NASCAR driver, died in an Indy testing crash and was resurrected by the demons of Demon Sports as the perfect fit for their final driver given her background of both NASCAR and sports car racing. So yeah, we officially have effectively a dead person on the roster who just got brought back to life. Riley is already in 5th place as I've been describing the 2 new drivers. Holy shit. There's also one thing I want to check on. Yeah, I noticed these 2 were both damaged. I wonder if they have anything to do with each other. Oh, they sure do. Yep. Penny remembers yesterday. Gives them both damage, not her finest work. I feel like if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it a lot more than that. So that's a carryover. That probably helped Riley get up to 5th when these 2 took each other out of contention. Back to present time. Yeah, that's gonna be a rivalry, I think. As if Reiko doesn't have enough of those. She's already still not exactly best friends with Risei Kuchikawa either. I was gonna say it'd be a 2v1 because she has a boyfriend. Yeah, well, Penny has an entire team. And trust me, I think everybody knows darn well that NFR loves to pick a fight. Tyler's teammates can attest to that. Are you fucking kidding me, dog? Anyway, I'm sure that won't be the last pause either, because I'm sure he'll continue barking within the next minute or 2, because he gets separation anxiety and Grandma and Grandpa aren't in his line of view, so as far as he's concerned, he's alone in the house. There's nothing outside. Not in where he's looking, anyway. Anyway, onto the actual racing, which there really isn't much of yet. Riley is making her way up to the lead battle between Danvers and Wojciechowski. I'm surprised you didn't see Eric go for a move there. I think he had a run on the Viper. Yeah, as I was alluding to earlier, the admins we have are working on some replacements in the 6th category. We thought about bringing the 525 class back. Or, well, it used to be the 500 class, but it's the 525 category. And we also thought about sort of an unrestricted category of, like, kind of independent but attached to this category, where it'd be the same cars, or most of the same cars involved, but it wouldn't be necessarily restricted at all. And you could bring a separate car if you wanted to. It would just be kind of named like the Max category or something like that. Not any relation to the dog that's upstairs named Max, who keeps barking at thin air. So as you can see Riley go for an overtake there. These three are definitely weighing their options and taking their time. They do have another lap to go here from Interlagos, so there's no need to rush and end up causing property damage. As Eric somehow got loose off the top of that corner there. That's going to lose him in the third. That's going to knock him down to second place. Riley thought about it, but Danvers defended into turn 1, so she could not do anything there. But heading down the S's for the final time. And that Corvette is right on that Viper's bumper. Viper versus Corvette is a battle we've seen probably a few times here in the Challenge Series. Some more spirited than others, we'll say. And some involving one or more vehicles in the junkyard by the end of the race. For test. Pepperidge Farm remembers Riley, and so do I. But she is into the race lead with just over a half a lap to go. And I don't know what Danvers was doing on that line, but I don't think he had a shot in hell of getting anywhere near Blanchard with that one. Surprisingly, it seems I'm actually going to get to the end of the race without Max interjecting again. Skipping ahead onto the final run down the front straightaway. And it is going to be Riley Blanchard taking the W over two fellow Day 1 veterans of the Challenge Series. And for that matter, the top 5 is veterans, as Umi and Veronica round out the top 5 positions. Notario 11th on debut from a really low starting position. Not quite the same kind of debut for Rebecca Johnson, 18th after contact. That was not caught on any replay cameras. And the saga of Fenny versus Reiko continues, seemingly, as Fenny shot return fire at the V300ZX/F40 driver. What a combination. I can't imagine anybody else doing anything that crazy. It's hump day, and we head to not the penultimate race of the week at Laguna Seca for the 600 category. We certainly couldn't drive 750s here. I mean, we could, but it wouldn't be a great idea. We'd probably have somebody not stopping in time for the corkscrew, if I had to guess. The race cars in the category would be fine, but I don't know about something like, I don't know, Reiko's F40, or God forbid something crazy like Inferno's Veyron. But yeah, Laguna Seca 600 class. It's incredibly cloudy, but God knows it's a track in the Western Hemisphere, so we can't have rain. Thanks, Polyphony. Though I'm not exactly upset about that. I am, but I'm not. I would much rather they work on fixing the game and adding new cars than adding rain to tracks, personally. Or adding new tracks. I would much rather just have variety. But that is just me. That's my end of the conversation, which is entirely subjective. I just always... With how much GT4 and 6 I played, I kind of like my Gran Turismo games basically being sandboxes with as many different options as possible. Look at Gran Turismo 6 with its 2,000 different cars versus Gran Turismo 7 coming out almost a decade after the fact and having 20% of that. Yeah, sure, we got all these cool interior reviews and whatnot, but it's not like I ever use them. I drive on hood cam. We are away from Laguna Seca. That is incredibly loud 8.6. Natsuki was the pole sitter. My dad, Mr. Stephen Lummel, is the POV driver, having started last. He's already up to a decent start, up to 14th, potentially. Having to battle Sartokov for the rights to hold that position, which he will win because he has the inside lane. Currently bottlenecked behind the Integra of Pepper Mills, which doesn't really get much in the way of acceleration. And yeah, going between these two categories, going from 750 straight to 600 is kind of dizzying, the speed difference. Now my dad is really blocked off as Thrasher and Barbara are fighting for 11th ahead. Barbara missing the left-hander there. My dad's struggling to find a lane as Thrasher moves over to give Barbara space heading towards the pink. And everything seems pedestrian at the moment. 2-3 for Porsche AG, with Liza leading her younger daughter Stephanie. I don't know why I had to specify younger daughter. I don't think older daughters exist right here. That, around the outside, Firebird and Mech-150 banging doors. Dad will be victorious in that battle, though. After on home soil, not being benefited by the starting grid by any means. Eric has big damage to his Ferrari. But that seems to be self-inflicted, as nobody else actually has any damage ahead of him, or near him, for that matter. That is something that I did not mention. Celica actually nerfed her Group 4 Suzuki Swift to the 600 category when she acquired her Mini Cooper Challenge S and put that in 640 in its place. And then she has the Celica in 675. My dad is stalking the lead 4. It certainly has the horsepower advantage over all these cars, especially the Porsche. You can see that that 356 is just about creeping up the hill. But Celica really isn't. Gas isn't really going much faster. And Dad is going to easily outmaneuver the Group 4 car, get down the inside of Stephanie, and get ahead before the braking point. Stephanie forms no response. Now it is after Liza Kaiser and subsequently Natsuki to try and claim the race lead as we are about to reach the halfway mark. That is a good run from the penultimate turn. Down the outside goes the Trans Am, but nothing doing there. Crossover not going to work. Liza really closed that line off. I'd imagine she would know a thing or 7 about defensive driving. We have chaos in the back. Looks like this is between Scarborough and Gemini. A driver on home soil slammed into the back of nearly 2 cars. Mulsanne was lucky to not to had contact made there, but does get straight into the back of Gemini's S13. A driver who lives near here versus a driver who has spent a lot of his time here in video games primarily. Dad is taking a very interesting route through Andretti Hairpin. Tries another crossover, but Liza's just not having it. She is parking that Volkswagen Beetle-shaped bus at the apex of every one of these turns and is not affording the Firebird any room to switch her back. He'll just have to use the horsepower. I don't know why he didn't think about that sooner, but yeah, he's just going to have better straight-line speed, but not better braking performance. Liza's still continuing to be an obstacle in Steve Wummel's path. That seems weird to announce it that way, let me tell you. Down the inside, no, still late braking from the 930. That's a 901, idiot. 930 is a 640 class car, but I think her battle is over. Finally, the Firebird is into 2nd place, and Natsuki is apparently already feeling the pressure as she almost misses the carousel. The corkscrew. Down the inside of the penultimate turn at Laguna Seca. Sideways for the Firebird, but the lead in hand, and Natsuki has no reply. Or does she? Down the inside of the Trans Am. Dad tries to make a late apex and nearly paid the price for it, but instead, he will be uncontested in the race lead, taking the white flag. Now Mulsanne has damage. and it doesn't seem to have any particular obvious cause. Thrasher making his way up to 6th, accompanied by his teammate Thomas O'Reilly. They battled here for the lead in the past. But 6 and 7 is probably the best they can get, as Silica is some ways up the road. Their teammate Natsuki is running in 2nd, but with my dad fucking off into the horizon, I don't think she's getting any higher, and she may just want to focus on making sure he doesn't get any lower. As we saw, Liza was very racy with my dad for hanging on to 2nd, so she will probably be equally so in regards to taking it back. And we are looking right at the carousel coming up next, so although Natsuki got through there really well, I don't think Liza's going to have a chance at the carousel unless she does something astronomically dumb. But she elects to not do so. Stephanie, woo, very aggressive into the corkscrew. Stop calling it the frickin' carousel. Thomas got ahead of his team owner somewhere along the way. Presumably, probably straight line speed heading towards the, I think would be turn 5? The corner before the paint. Out of the last turn, my dad will head on to the front straightaway and claim the checkered flag. Victory from Laguna Seca. Natsuki and Liza round out the podium. Stephanie 4th. Silica 5th place. Call it a 3-4 for Porsche AG and a 2-6-7 for Black Stallion Motorsports. That is the end of the replay. I did not leave that as long as I normally do. That's interesting, but now there's a shot, yeah. My father is victorious in one of the 2 categories he still races in. Having deprioritized 640 class and the Special Conditions Cup no longer existing, division, not cup, not existing at the moment, he probably could move his Impreza to 675 or something, but it remains to be seen what he does from here, but I guess what he's doing for now is winning. The 4th race of the week takes us to Road Atlanta. And this is maybe a little bit below the pay grade of the vehicles we're using, as it's the 715 category at play here. I don't know, it's not the home track of any particular team. I don't believe it might. No, it's not. I was going to say, it might be the home team or home track of Sam Squadron. No, I believe that is considered to be Grand Valley Highway. Each team does have like a home track that's like categorized. Like Black Stallions is Laguna Seca, Porsche AG is the Nürburgring, NFR, Aqua, and Mercury Racing all kind of share Fuji for the most part, just for convenience sake. Since NFR used to be aligned with Mercury and Aqua now is, since Aqua split off of Diamond Pleiades Technica following the announcement that the Special Conditions division had been called off. And also just the fact that there are now all 9 of the original School Idol Group Aqua's members are now here, and the team limit means that they couldn't be on a team together with the 3 members of DPT besides them of Sammy, Tetsuya, and Yuki. And so they didn't really have a choice but to do that. But I don't believe there's any team that has Road Atlanta as their marked home track. I may have to double check that, but for now, let's just race, I suppose. No, we are green from Road Atlanta as I uncontrollably yawn right as the green lights lit up. NFR do start 2-4 in this race, but Fenny will immediately shoot to the lead with the superior acceleration over Winter Rose's Corvette, and Bell's looking set to do the same thing. Down the inside of the Corvette, nearly spinning her out, just about, but getting ahead of De La Cruz in the process. My dad starts 5th, looking to make it 2 in a row after his victory at Laguna Seca, but he's got quite some stiff competition, and honestly, I think just looking up and down the whole grid here, this may be one of the toughest, most competitive grids I've ever seen in a race. This is pretty much a who's who of who's quick in the challenge series right here. We got a couple outliers and a couple cars with damage on lap 1 for that matter. Keith Kilgore, by the way, is our POV driver in the Z01 Camaro. Natsuki already damaged. Thrasher already damaged. Nobody else up to this point has damage, so not a great start for Black Stallion Motorsports. Especially not when Natsuki braking late and Thrasher losing control on the way into the same corner. Is the reason that both cars have damage. So yeah, Black Stallion very much tripping over each other on the first lap of contention. Out of 6 here. Laps of Road Atlanta are relatively short as we embark on our journey down the back straightaway. Should be well in excess of 180 for most of these cars, and indeed Kilgore up to 187. As Tyler gets a massive fucking piece of my car. That was, yeah, I wasn't really happy in the cockpit with that one. So, the 3 admins that started this race all got damaged on the first lap. 2 of them hitting each other, so that's really leaving a good impression. I'm not exactly, yeah. We try not to be too bitter about it because it was just late braking, but also like, god fucking damn it. We can't, the sort of friend circle of me, Tyler, and Thrasher could never seem to stop crashing into each other, no matter what we do. And other news, there really isn't any other news. It's just Keith Kilgore tearing his way through the mid-pack of the field right now, and the top 5, or top, like, everybody, top 8 is pretty much in a line. The back straight may change that. Also, Bell did get ahead of Rose. I didn't see when this happened. The replay camera somehow didn't catch it either. We do have Katie looking for a move on her team owner, but Logan moving to defend from his own teammate. Twice, as a matter of fact. Jesus Christ. Eric versus Barbara. Ugh. The driver with the most championships versus the driver with the most individual victories, going at it for 12th place. They started in the very back though, so it kind of makes sense that they're not really at the front yet. Kilgore into the top 10, looking for more on the Diablo of Ice around the outside. And that is somehow oddly textbook, considering. Yeah, well, Rebecca Briggs right up to the back of Steve Lummel. Blue Strata recently hitting in an expansion, adding 2 drivers to their team in Sylvester Sterling and Tanner Johnson. Actually, no triple, or double, because, yeah, Ricky Briggs joined a couple of weeks ago and made his debut for the team. And, well, spoiler alert, Sylvester and Tanner make their debuts for the team later in the week. And by later in the week, I mean in the next event. Kilgore has caught this sort of lead group. Logan still choosing to defend from his own teammate, and that has brought his bitter rival Urban Estate into the fold, at least in the form of a single car. Katie's not giving him a whole lot of space. Not exactly surprised by that turn of events. Brake testing even, Keith Kilgore, and still unaffected is the Coca-Cola Camaro. Into 8th, around the outside of Logan, or attempting. Logan's unsurprisingly not really going to give him the room out there on the way into turn 3, I think that would be, but he's not deterred still, and Logan has to concede that, so into 7th. Making a statement is Keith Kilgore, and also making a really bad corner while he's at it. A bit of a, not out of context statement, but out of 4th wall break, that's what I'm looking for, idiot. The locale and everything of this race, and the fact that that Urban Estate is featured heavily in it, is a direct reference to the disasters of Hurricane Helene. I think that's how that's pronounced. I don't know, it looks like Helen to me. I've heard Helene every time. Why can't we just I mean, I guess we don't want to number hurricanes, but wouldn't it just be like Bob? I don't know. You know, as a team, Urban Estate that's run by a person who is literally in the epicenter of that. I actually tried to find decals for some kind of, like, disaster, not prevention, that's not the word. Because Kilgore goes ahead of my dad, potentially on the outside. Yep. Utterly, there's another statement. No, my dad is not done so easily, but I don't ultimately think it's his choice. The Camaro should be able to out-drag the RCF. Maybe not. I tried to find decals for disaster relief companies to put on their cars, but I found absolutely jack shit. Drag race down towards the final chicane, and now a braking war that the Camaro should win with the extra downforce and a bit of grass on his tires, but around the outside he sweeps into 5th place. But time is running short for Keith Kilgore to do anything about getting onto the podium. His teammate De La Cruz is right ahead of him, and I don't believe Urban Estate has much to do team orders. Even so, De La Cruz doesn't really put up too much of a fight. Perhaps in this particular context, a bit of just, whatever, team orders, but not really anything like a direct order from the team owner, who's also on the racetrack. That would be kind of difficult to do that. Team orders usually don't work unless the owner of the team isn't on the circuit. They have direct communication and everything, but obviously Tyler can't really see what's going on in 4th place. He is running in 19th after he and I had our little incident. Okay, one more run down the back straightaway as my dog continues to be an absolute fucking dipshit upstairs. I'm just choosing to ignore it because if I wait for him to stop barking, I could be waiting until the late afternoon, and I don't really want to fucking do that. Winter Rose's car really suffers on the straights, so he might have a half a shot at taking 3rd away, which would be a real piss take for Demon Sports, but he's gonna utterly fuck up the chicane, and the Corvette's gonna do just fine at the final turn. Fenny Golden will get her metaphorical vengeance, or at least equilibrium, winning here from Road America. Keith does not make the overtake stick. As much as he wants to pretend he has on the cooldown lap, that doesn't count. He is still 4th. And it is a 1-2 finish for NFR. Fenny and Isabel take it across the line 1st, 2nd. 3rd for Winter Rose. And that is the only representative of Demon Sports near there. Logan 8th. Katie 10th, losing a spot. Or actually, no, Logan just passed ice, is what happens there. So yeah, 2, 8, 10, 15 for Demon Sports. And what is this? 4, 5, 19 for Urban Estate. Actually, no, 4, 5, 14, 19. But yeah, it was literally a 1-2 for NFR with their only 2 competitors, so I don't really think you could do much better than that. Actually, you straight up cannot. It is the final race of the week. It takes us to the hallowed and also equally feared high-speed ring. As my dog is continuing to be ignored upstairs. Mind you, this is what we're hearing through a microphone, like, diluting the audio. A closed door and an entire flight of stairs. And my mic is probably still picking him up because he's just that loud and that obnoxious. And he's barking at nothing. There's nothing outside. There's nobody else is here, but that's actually exactly the problem. Nobody else is here giving him all of the attention that he wants. Because he's a tiny little baby despite being 10 years old. Grandma and Grandpa are not in here, they're doing yard work outside. And because of that, he's gonna throw a fucking hissy fit because he's not getting treats every 5 seconds. I swear I don't completely hate this dog, but he gets on my nerves, and I have to basically plan my day around what to and what not to do when nobody else is in the house. Because his barking is usually loud enough to disrupt any commentary I might try to do, loud enough to interrupt with any conversations I may have at any PlayStation parties, and usually louder than any YouTube videos I may be watching. And that's with the door closed. If I had my room's door open, he'd be even fucking louder. High-speed ring is a wait. Wow, yeah, I forgot. I was like, I see a line down there. Now, as you've probably seen, there's quite a bit to look at right now. It is a multi-class race with 750 class cars and 675 class cars. 10-10 split here from High Speed Ring. The POV driver is Kotori in her Maserati MC20. And we have a multitude of new vehicles running in this event. 4. Yeah, I mentioned Blue Strata had a bit of an expansion, and this is that. Jeremiah Wood with a brand new Dodge SRT Demon. There's Sylvester Sterling with, I thought, an updated, maybe he forgot to put that on. But he is running behind his new team owner, Vincent Houston, in a Ferrari F40 LM. Tanner Johnson, who's not really been much of an attendee lately. They're 3 wide for the lead up there. But Kotori is taking the line that is patented at this point. The high lane is almost always faster. Case in point, Rebecca Johnson. Whoa, that's a huge slide for the MC20, but she catches it. Rebecca Johnson gets right up to the back of the MC20, but doesn't quite have the horsepower of that thing. Victorio shipping it down the inside, and also forcing her way off of her line. Yeah, Tanner Johnson with a modified SRT-10 ACR Viper. And Viper Ratio, naturally, and myself, as Rebecca has to be forced to check up because Notario is doing Enrique Notario things. He's not making a great first impression, I'm going to tell you. The Viper to the lead, taking the very high lane there, but Kotori is going to outdrag all other comers and get back to the race lead, heading on to the front straightaway. But yeah, replacement for my S14 that ironically got destroyed at this very circuit is the Murcielago, as Rebecca gets absolutely dusted on the straightaway, and now she will go the long way around. She didn't go all the way up the track, she ran the mid lane and still passed 3 cars in a single turn. But yeah, the replacement for my S14 is the Murcielago. Pronunciation is subjective. You say data, I say data. You say tomato, I've never heard anybody say tomato. But yeah. Surprisingly, I say surprising just because I didn't think he'd actually do it. Ferruccio Fidanzi promised to do something to replace that, as his mistake was the reason the S14 was junked in the first place. And he actually did. He found a used Murcielago somewhere in Italy and sent it over to me in the recent past. And we finally got all the work done on it, and it's quite fast, as you are seeing. 230 heading towards T1, 235 as a matter of fact. But then again, every car appears pretty fucking fast, so I'm racing against a LaFerrari, an ACR Viper, and a Maserati. And there's an F40 LM behind us. Seems Sterling and Rose came to blows early on in the race. I also do have one other thing. Jonas Thompson with the redesigned Alfa Romeo. He's not shown up much lately. His buddy actually exited the series. That would be Taryn Booth, who ran a single race and then didn't run again. He's currently also Alexis Aliris. You can notice her there. But yeah, his friend left the series, but he stuck around and just redesigned his Maserati. to be pirate themed rather than Viking themed, which it doesn't really make much sense to me. He's Danish. Danish people were not pirates. They were, in fact, Vikings. I should know as a Minnesotan. We're just gonna have this tug of war going on. Rebecca Johnson is very good in the corners, being in a Group 3 car, but we get back onto the run from the final, like, actual corner where Harvey Holt, who's very much off the pace. I don't think the Sierra really has the necessary horsepower to contend here as Envoy. Yep, there it is. Noir just laying on the brakes, gets straight into the back of that Pantera, and that was the two leaders in the 675 category, both taken out of contention. Inferno Rose barely making her way through them safely. But yeah, Rebecca's right there now as we head towards the final braking zone, but once Kotori gets free from this turn, she takes off like a rocket because the MC20 is unmatched in terms of overall acceleration in this race. It doesn't have the most top speed. That honor seems to either go to Tanner Johnson or to myself. But nevertheless, still enough top speed to hold on to the lead over Rebecca Johnson, who tops out at 200. It certainly seems to go to me, but I am also getting a slipstream off the back of Tanner Johnson. Also, no, Rebecca and Tanner are not related, if you're about to ask. It's just, oh, look at Americans with the last name Johnson. That's not exactly rare. You know? One hails from San Francisco, the other hails from Indianapolis. So, 2 whole laps went by, and the only thing of note that really happened is that Harvey Holt has gone a lap down to most of the 750 category, and we're just seeing the top speed on that Sierra is really bad. It's actually not really even that terrible. It just isn't enough to offset that it's also not very good in the corners either compared to, say, Noir in her TBR. And even Noir and Axel are currently getting lapped as they had their little incident earlier, and that set them back quite a ways. They were originally leading their category, and now they're at the back of it and being put a lap down as we're coming to what should be the white flag here. Yeah, there's the confirmation. Minute 5 left on the timer. And we are not at the line yet. 3 cars ahead for Kotori to lap. One is her teammate. They all move to the inside. Oh my god, no they don't! What the fuck? Jesus Christ! Yeah, I come up to this. I see everybody else slowing down. I'm not understanding why we're slowing down, but as Axel just does it funny. I don't know what he was doing there. But, yeah, I come up to this and I signal for the red flag. And mind you, I'm doing that in spite of the fact that I have a chance to pass Tanner before this happens. But, I mean, yeah, I've just seen a teammate and friend of mine stricken at the bottom of the track. I didn't actually see the crash, and I never looked at the replay either, so... Yeah, we'll see what Kotori sees, and she sees a gap there. There's definitely enough room for an MC20 if they all stay down there. They fucking don't. Riho moves over because Siegfried moves over. She's trying to stay in his slipstream, although she could have stayed down with Nico. But ultimately, it's Riho that moves over into Kotori as she's going to lap them, and it's the rest, as they say, is history. She literally hit the wall in 3 different places. I'm gonna look at the impact speeds here. 220, but that's basically a glancing blow. Still enough to damage the suspension, but not exactly enough to threaten the lives of the occupants in the vehicle. Gets spun across the front of Riho's RX-7. And that is a head-first collision at about 150 or so. Sent to a violent spin, clobbering the back end of Nico's car at 2, I believe, although it didn't actually damage her Supra any. Spinning back up into the outside wall at about 90, and finally, mercifully coming to rest at the bottom of the track, where it's normally easier to avoid, Rebecca is immediately able to react and stop, as is Tanner, who wasn't planning to run that line. I still don't know what the heck Axel is doing, but yeah, that's the red flag. That ends this week's racing on a third, probably near-death experience in 7 days' time. And High Speed Ring Turn 1 collects another junked Mercury Racing race car, practically mirroring the way that mine got junked by Ferruccio not too long ago. This isn't even the problem with the circuit. This is the problem with the drivers going into Turn 1. Everybody taking different lines and chaos being sowed in its wake. But yeah, Rebecca ends up being retroactively granted the victory here, making it her first Challenge Series victory and just her second start in the series. Meanwhile, looking back down to 11th, Jonas Thompson is your winner in the 675 category, narrowly over Isabel Espinal, who will effectively get her second consecutive second-place finish of the week to round things off here for the 129th week here in the Challenge Series. It was so long since. But that is it, and, well, obviously Kotori is fine. These school idols are stupidly durable. I don't understand it. But the Maserati MC20 is no more durable than any other supercar and is not going anywhere, suffice to say.